inside from the wedding room for the moment. And we would like to kindly ask you to, yes, put your cameras off so we can have some space for this presentation, which is actually the last presentation of this year's Summer Academy public program. And we have the honor for this presentation to have a collective of 8 wonderful women, that they were also past participants, the students of the Summer Academy. Before I go to introduce you to them, I would like to just let you know that tomorrow, for those in Salzburg, but also for those not in Salzburg, you can take a plane, you have still some time. There will be the open studio of the third round of the Summer Academies from 4 to 8 p.m. In the Fortress in Salzburg, and there will be also 2 Instagram presentation by Subigi Rao and Cesar Davud. So we hope to see you back then. Now, for the moment, I have the honor to present to you 3 members of the constant collective of constant questioning. And their names are Dandara, Maia, Giulia, Menegale, and Claudia, Roßkopf. And that they will be speaking to us about this collective, how it was formulated, and what it's all about. All the members of the collective, I have to read their names because it's quite important, and we might not have so much space in Zoom to host everyone, but everyone is around, and you can meet them afterwards in the questions in the chat or wherever you want in the planet. So the collective is constituted by Darya, Aloufy, Irene, Angenica, Anna, Gardner, Adela, Lovrić, of course, Dandara, Maia, as I said, Giulia, Menegale, Claudia, Roßkopf, and Jaroslava, Tomanová. I'm sorry if I make some wrong with the pronunciation. I have also the honor to have these people out of a class I somehow led or was led into it on the year 2020. It was an online class as part of the Summer Academy program, a curatorial and, let's say, writing class. And as it was, it had to be digital because it was when we had to face all this kind of stop of physical proximity and contact. We decided, or I decided, to put the class to put as a focus of the class the questioning around this kind of ever-changing profession of curator. Of course, the big question in our mind back then was, where are we going from here if we can't meet anymore and curate exhibitions together or share exhibitions together? But this led to a kind of an experiment that we shared with the participant students. And the idea was to somehow formulate a decalogue that is consisted of 10 rhetoric questions. Then, as a second part, the idea was to also make a kind of a syllabus with these questions about what curator can be, or even more appropriate, what questions around the profession of curator could be. We were lucky enough in the duration of our online course to arrive to 10 rhetoric questions. And I'm telling you, it's not easy to arrive collectively in 10 rhetoric questions. And I feel extremely proud and very lucky to also arrive in this kind of, to face the fact of a collective that was consisted out of this course and continues this kind of questioning. They will speak to you more about it. A constant questioning around the professor of curating, also approaching wonderful friends and colleagues and discussing with them about what curator could be, could have been, and should be, or something like that. So I pass the floor, or the virtual floor, to you. I think, I'm not sure if it's Claudia, Dandara, or Giulia that speaks first, but please take your microphone and come in the foreground. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Marina, for your words. We're happy to be here tonight. So thanks a lot for the invitation and to all of you who made this possible. It's a really great opportunity for us to introduce our collective for constant questioning that originated from a course at the Summer Academy, as Marina just mentioned. And at the same time, an opportunity to reflect on what has happened so far since the founding last year. And of course, it's an opportunity to talk and think about collectivity with all of you that are here tonight. I'm starting by talking about the origin and the idea of the collective. And then Giulia will get deeper into the format of questioning and the way we work. Then Dandara will show you the online platform and with all the contents and details. And then Giulia concludes with some more thoughts, followed by your questions, hopefully. That's also when other members of the collective will join. Marina just mentioned them, and here tonight are Yara and Irene and Adela. Yeah, and you see, again, all of us here. So it's been a year since we first met, and we were part of the course that Marina Fokidis gave here, as we just heard. And it was titled Everything You Always Wanted to Know About Curating and a Few More Questions. So conceived with the task of formulating as many questions as possible, the course was to explore the ever-changing nature of curatorial practice. And through a series of readings and conversations with guests, we worked on these questions until we ended up with the 10 questions of the so-called Decalogue. Here you see the course, and that's the Decalogue that Marina already mentioned. So that should be the result of the course, but some of us only saw it as a starting point, as a motivation to continue and now to ask these questions and to find answers and at the same time certainly new questions. And we wanted to seize this moment of togetherness to create something that meets our needs, namely learning together and learning by doing, talking, thinking, writing together. So our needs are certainly influenced by this special situation in 2020, when the operation of art organizations is paralyzed by the pandemic, and there are many uncertainties, missing opportunities for discussion, and events are canceled, exhibitions remain closed. So we have to think of how we can be together otherwise. And that was the beginning of our collective and of a long series of video conferences that followed. So what does it mean, collective work? In her text about sustainable co-living, Natasha Petrichin-Bacheles quotes a proverb: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So if you want to get far, what about timing, aims, capacities, rhythms of cooperation, about potentials, principles, and practices of a collective? In order to define our collective and develop further, we asked ourselves these questions you see here. What do you want this collective to do and how? What do you want? Why do you want to be part of this collective? What should the collective want to achieve? And for whom do you want to do this? So let's have a look at some of our answers. Our aim is to create a space for constant questioning, which means being together in debate, to debate curatorial practice, not just among us, but with a broader audience, in order to share ideas and at the same time have our ideas challenged, to shake off habits and routines and create a place for different ways of talking about arts, for reflections that otherwise lack space in daily work life. And we wanted to create a platform for connection, critical discussion, and visibility of ideas. So there are actually two dimensions of our work. On the one hand, there's the dimension of the collective work, and through working together, the formation of a collective. And on the other hand, there's the dimension of questioning, an attempt to question the curatorial practice and some preconceived ideas in this field. So we see potentials regarding each one of the dimensions. First, in times where competition and individuality are the normative ways to live and work, we truly believe in the power of collective and the possibility to grow together. For us, it's an enriching experience because of the diversity of our group, our transnationality. It's a community of peers with diverse skills and knowledges, supporting each other, and it's a safe space one can really trust and rely on each other. Secondly, we see the potentials of a public platform for research about curatorship as a source to learn from in order to trace some trends happening and curating right now, and to enrich the art discourse by producing and sharing knowledge. All these thoughts remind us of what Sophie Golds was introducing during the course last year. We were having a look at Stefano Hani and Fred Moten's definition of study. They write, it's what you do with other people, it's talking and walking around with other people, working, dancing, suffering, some irreducible convergence of all three, held under the name of speculative practice. So through CCQ, we reclaim a notion of study as a common intellectual practice, which expresses itself through an openness to being affected by others, dispossessed and possessed by others, as Hani and Moten formulate. So we talked a lot about why and how we want to work together. And it's obvious that we have to agree on some principles that consider both the dimension of the collective itself and the questioning and its results. You find more of our principles. We developed a manifesto. You can see here and on our website that Dandara will show us later. But first, now Giulia continues with the practices of our collective.
We see CCQ as a methodology, a process based on practice of collective questioning. I will explain more the practice and process we experiment and establish in those months working together. The rhetorical questions from Summer Academy are now the point of departure through which we structure our interviews. Each rhetorical question provides us with a line of inquiry, a coherence within the topics we will touch upon during the interviews. Two members of CCQ are in charge of preparing for the interview, doing research about guest curators, reading publication and recent news about their work. But also they have to write down the first draft canvas of the interview to be discussed with the rest of CCQ in a pre-interview meeting. The contents of the rhetorical question formulating during Summer Academy get unfolded, further articulated, explored and broken down into smaller questions throughout our draft interview. CCQ interview with guest curators lasts up to 1 hour. And at the end of each session, other members intervene with spontaneous questions as if they were the public involved in a Q&A with the guest speakers. Our interview are those collectively led and produced. Once the interview has been recorded, we divide the task regarding its transcription, editing, proofreading, and publishing. So to work in a collective way is for us an important element. It is an element which requires constant negotiation. The limit between individual agency and collective one are in constant redefinition in our daily activities. Nonetheless, we all agree that we, as a collective, are not interested in reproducing a model of utilitarian pragmatic cooperation based on the pursuit of individualism, harsh competition, and strategic networking that we often see to organize relationships in our field of competence. Through our collective process, we rather hope to invert these tendencies, while accepting the impact that our chosen methodology, collective method, might have on our work. During this year of work, we realized that catalyzing and rehearsing a collective process imposes a different rhythm of thinking, working, learning, try out things, from the one we got used to when we work alone or in an organization or in a group which is not a collective. And the reason behind this is that collective process imposes new priorities on our ongoing project, which are most played out within the affective and relational aspect inherent to collective work. As a CCQ, we sustain that collective process is about the journey you do together as a group of people who were once strangers to each other. It is about how to not leave anybody behind, and therefore how to exercise a rare capacity, the ability to listen to someone, their ideas, requests, difficulties, and joys. I pass over to Dandara now.
Hi, thank you, Giulia. Thank you for words. Now, I would like to introduce you to our website. That was possible thanks to the Summer Academy. So we'd like to thank again their support. So as mentioned before, this website was envisioned as a way to offer to the public a window to our collective work. So here the interviews are published in a shorter form, offering the audience and ourselves a space for conversations, critique, research, reflection, and action. So this website is first targeted to curators and professionals of the art field, but as well as to students and all those who are interested in discussion, the curatorial. To develop this website and our visual identity, we chose Oaza, a women's design collective from Croatia. And for this project, we wanted to maintain the centrality of the word, that is the questioning, the conversation, this text that is formed after our encounters. So the website has this aesthetics from publishing design, at the same time is flexible for digital platforms, and because our collective was based on the digital realm. So here in the front page, you will see that the list interviews titles are listed as in a book index in order of the publication. The side menu bar offers the possibility to see all the 10 questions of the Decalogue and who answered them. So you're going to see the names of each curator guest and a link to their interviews under each question. In the future, we want more guests answering the same questions and provide a multitude of views about the same topic. So gradually, the list of names and links will grow, and we would like add more guest curators for the same questions. This means that our goal is not to reach 10 interviews and publish them all at once and have like a digital publication finish. Rather, we want to maintain the website growing with interviews being published steadily and eventually even adding more questions or changing them. So like in the end, you see again information about how this Decalogue was produced and the names of all those who participate in the Summer Academy in 2020. So just to take an example, let's see how an interview would look like in the website. So in the body of the text, the questions, you're not going to find them mentioned directly, rather they appear as part of the introduction. And this because some of the conversations prompt us to reflect about the questions themselves. Therefore, the role of the rhetorical questions adjusts in the course of our work, evolving to a line of inquiry, as Giulia said, passive to be also interrogated and scrutinized. So another important aspect of our collective works was implementing the website, actually developed together with the idea of the website, is what we're calling now responses. So these are, after each conversation we have with our curator guests, we usually, after they disconnect, we spend some time together talking about the interview, like processing, deliberating, and remembering what we thought, heard, and how we felt, like the ideas that came up to our mind during the conversation. So was a space that we create to offer like a space in the website for this experience can appear. So here in the sidebar on the right side of the website, the members of the collective can reflect and continue working with the material of the interview. So we can echo our own practice visions by adding comments, thoughts, connections with other ideas, and what else comes to mind in form of images, videos, text, audio, external links. So the reappears an annotation of the text together with its types of footnotes. So this is not exactly a response as we thought. This is more like a footnote to complement information for the text. But here will also appear in the future, because during the last months, we've been working very hard on the interviews and the website. So we still don't have published in the website any response, but this is how we look like in the future. So you're going to have a list of all the responses with the link bringing you back to the original interview. So you're going to be able to see both ways. So we have some other ideas on how to give these after talks discussions a proper form. So for example, podcasts or short recordings that we probably will also incorporate here in the future. So another important part of our website that Claudia mentioned before is our manifesto. So the manifesto was built after many discussions and self-interrogations, and it's the core of our collective work. So it's always guiding all of our decisions and yeah, everything we do. So you can see in full here in the website. Also in the website, very important is the about. So in this part, you're going to read how we found the collective and also find short bios from every of the members. And here we wanted to give more attention to ourselves, more focus on what the things are driving us, move us, rather than institutions we've been to. Yeah, and to finish this little tour, yes, here you're gonna find the icon of our Instagram, and please follow us also here. We're going to publish different types of materials, quotes from the interviews, news about the collective, and also projects that our members are involved, and also the guest curators. So please follow us. And just to shortly to finish, this website is one of our outputs of this collective, but we want to continue working in many forms and experimenting with different formats. So please keep in touch to see what's coming next in the future. Thank you.
I'm not sure if I'm supposed to jump in now or if
no, sorry. Now, Giulia, we finished the presentation.
Yeah, okay. Before conclusion, thank you, sorry, Marina. So basically, to end this presentation, we will attempt to contextualize CCQ activity within the social political circumstances we're speaking from, as well as within the broader spectrum of other collective work produced within contemporary art. In a time when learning how to listen to each other seems to be more than an urgency, especially in a society where time and structure of our institutional and organizational life rarely allow space for it, for listening to each other, we wonder what being part of a collective, co-founding a collective, can teach us, if not the ability to listen to each other deeply, for real, without excuse. In CCQ, we reject the idea that listening to someone might imply passivity. Our listening is also a questioning simultaneously. After the interview with partners, with guest curators, we spent extra time to discuss together input we received during the interview by contributing with personal experience and formulation of other questions we have not been able to ask. For example, here we put some quotes from some interview we had, and for example, through Bonaventure, it was because of a reference of Bonaventure to his own project that we change our bias. Another time through Schutz Martinez, we thought about what does it mean to target an audience. Through Sophie, we thought about what collective work might mean. Through Galit and Marina, we thought about what rhetorical question and the meaning of proposing ourselves through rhetorical question might have. We can discuss further in the Q&A this part. We on this regard, we want to specify that we don't only pay attention to what these amazing curators say to us, but we also try to pay attention to other CCQ members, to our peer. We often check in with each other during and after collective meeting by simply asking, how are you? And all cherish for each other's success. So to contextualize this within contemporary art, we see that the current debate has given more and more attention to artistic and curatorial collectives. We all see the potentialities that collectives have in putting under pressure institution, organizational structure, such as marketing, politics, partnership, and so on. Through the act of spreading and enhancing the capacity of listening, which is in our understanding is also the capacity of being in relation to each other, to become ourselves in the mirror of others. Collective work for us is an acknowledgement that it is hard to think ourselves as human beings, earth beings, in separation with each other. For this reason, we believe that associating together in a collective can be an experience whose implications go far beyond the field of contemporary art. And this implication has still to be imagined or envisioned. We believe that collective work can generate a sort of butterfly effect by enabling small changes that have no linear impact on a complex system we are inhabiting. Finish. So that's, you can jump in, Marina. Thank you so much for this time, and thank you for all of you that have been present tonight.
Thank you so much and congratulations. I'm a little bit speechless in the good sense because as a kind of an instructor, let's put it that way, on that initiation of this course is what, and also, you know, I think also is in the principle of the Summer Academy in many ways and in many interpretation, what one can imagine as the ultimate utopia is from a temporary autonomous zone to somehow quote Hakim Bey of this course, to arrive to a permanent autonomy zone. And with this present that you give us back is how the instructor first and then the academy and everything on quote marks is somehow dissolved through a beginning of like getting together and somehow finding a kind of a common way of questioning and seeing, as Kokoska was saying, or like sort of focusing into a matter, then a beginning and something starts, which is much bigger than this course, and where the instructor or the academy is no longer needed. And I hope this will happen with all the kind of sort of knowledge institutions. So thank you so much personally for taking our somehow stimuli and grow it in such wonderful ways. There is not that many questions on my part, but I want to stress the fact that, first of all, you were 8 wonderful women that working together, meeting another women collective. So I would love to hear your comments. Of course, this is something that happened, like it was a coincidence, but yet not, and yet yes. So I would like to hear your comments on this kind of larger women coalition beyond the collectivity, of course, that you talked with us quite a bit. And also another question that I have on, that I would like to hear some more comments from you, was that is the way you all, or most of you, come from different localities, as is something also that we discussed quite much in the course, and how this brings input to your collectivity. I have to say that it's kind of wonderful because we started this questioning in a kind of a crisis of collectivity and togetherness. And this crisis of togetherness and collectivity brought this great bond between all of you. So one about the part of the gender of this collectivity, and two about the way different localities intervene and meet in this effort of yours. I don't know who wants to answer that, but whoever from the collective, please open your camera and speak about it a little bit with us. Share your thoughts. We can start by the feminine aspect.
I can maybe speak about the feminine aspect. I think that this definitely gives some political principle that we are really attached to. And this is really evident in our manifesto. Not that it's an explicitly feminist manifesto, but is for sure a manifesto which targets collectivity, awareness about including some voice that sometimes are less heard, and revindicate this kind of voice for ourselves. That's also why we decided to collaborate with a female collective of designers from Croatia, as Claudia, as Dandara mentioned. And this creates absolutely the synergy among us, which is really, really special.
Mm-hmm. And about the various localities and the way you meet, I hope not in a consensus level, but somehow the way they inform, even if your meeting are mostly through the web, let's put it that way.
So if I may answer this, I think this has enriched so much our collective, not only when we are among ourselves, but also during the interviews, because also the curators, they have their experience in several countries, several different cultures, and somehow sometimes we find ourselves identifying with the curators from not many ways, of course, but territory wise as well. So gives like these layers of more personal connection with the guest curators. And yeah, like the different cultural settings we're coming from, I think makes the collective very diverse. And we also always making us self-aware of like, okay, maybe this is missing, or maybe we haven't seen this aspect from this. So I think it's very, very good that we're so coming from these different places, but also very hard sometimes because we have our lives also playing very important role in when we meet, the time we meet, we have the time zone playing against us. Yeah, so it's a challenge. It's make it easier for us because we are sitting in our homes and talking to each other, but at the same time, it's difficult. And it's also really nice to see when some of us can meet in the real life, and this happened quite sometimes. And I feel really happy for those who are able to meet. It's really nice.
What do you think during the course, the special course that we had, I mean, online, but in general, in this kind of coalition, or this kind of, let's say, pattern or structure that it's so embedded in the summer academic, which are people from all over the from various disciplines and various, let's say, backgrounds come together. What do you think is what made your bond and your urge to continue? What was that created, you think, this kind of bond in this kind of in this formula of pedagogy that you've been through? Someone can be also a member that was not that did not present it necessarily the talk. In simple words, my question is, what initiated or sparkled your bond and your urge to continue?
I think maybe if I can answer this question, I think it was simply through through your course, through discussing a lot what are actually the core questions that we should be asking around the practice of curating. I think, I mean, I cannot talk for the collective, of course, I can speak for myself, but I think it was simply a realization that we share value, you know, there are certain shared values and therefore a potential to work together. Also, I think the fact that the course was digital, it was online, it was somehow kind of easy to, you know, just continue, because it's also like somehow strange to go through a course and spend a lot of like intense time, hours and hours of discussing, and suddenly closing the window and never seeing each other again. I mean, this is somehow, yeah. So I think it occurred to us that we can just self-organize and continue what we went through during your course, and I think we succeeded quite well. And also, like, all of us are, I guess, interested in self-organization as such. So we wanted to practice what it means to self-organize and stay together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what you've been through, the way it was heard, it was like, oh, torture, but no, of course not. I'm very quite interested in this point of self-organization, as you were explaining. The website, which is mostly, of course, a methodology of some kind of publication and some kind of syllabus for the future or the past or whatever, the cyclical time. It was a kind of a do-it-yourself operation. And let's say, for the sake of this conversation, you take the role of younger or let's say curators, or I meant more shooting curators, like not so many years in the profession, that doesn't necessarily seek the approval of the institution, but somehow create this kind of temporary autonomous zone yourself. So I would love to hear from some of you this principle of self-organization and the way this platform works also for the public. It's an offering, but also for, we heard a little bit about the special comments, about the discussion that it's, let's say, interview creates among yourselves. But also I would love to know this kind of self-organization and dreams that that you have, and the ways that you somehow want to continue and exchange. And to that also, and I would love to, if you can, if you have some sayings or some ideas or some paraphrasing, some words that you heard from different people, to elaborate a little bit more in this, that somehow resonated within your self-organization, within your self-struggle, and for more knowledge and more, you know, for evolution. Is someone that would like to answer to this? Self-organization, more ideas on self-organization?
I can answer, and I think that yeah, self-organization is really important for us. I think that the biggest discovery of this ongoing process is how collective work also imposes certain rhythms on the work itself. So because you want always to know the opinion of everyone and not take individual choice, sometimes you have to wait a bit more. But we always had a sort of stability which really helped us to, you know, like having encountering sometimes, of course, as all collective, we have also some little moment of adjustment, I would say, but this is part of our self-organization work, because there's no structure that you are following, but you have to build your own structure based on all the needs of each people, also personality, also skills, because we didn't know each other at all. So we discovered, like after 3 months working together, that someone was a professional journalist, for example, of us. And before, for example, this member of the collective never spoke out before because she also wanted us to experiment a bit. So sometimes, you know, as this kind of create a clear communication to each other is not a secondary element, but it's really an effort which take a lot of work and at the end a lot of satisfaction. I would say that there's a lot of the interview really changed a lot of our perspectives, and as I already mentioned, well, for example, with Sophie Goltz, we spoke about collective work, and this really applied also to our experience and how collective work can really change the institution. Or some, like, for example, we also draw some connection with Ruan Gruppa and how they are creating documenta and how sometimes we expect a final outcome, but then the work is really about collectivity and process. So also how this put in somehow in put a lot of pressure and self-reflection on the institutional context in which we always work. So it's really, this is one example. With Natasha Pteresin Bachelat, we spoke about the rhythm of institution, for example, and the fact of slow institution, and also she has a lot of work about yeah, from a female point of view, feminist point of view, and collectivity and care. So there's a lot of resonance between our work and the one of the people we interviewed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and
maybe I can. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I really agree with what Giulia said about self-organization. Also, for us, I think it's also about the sort of empowerment of knowing that we can work without, you know, being dependent on certain invitations by institutions or, you know, by some kind of external structures with which we not necessarily agree. So, you know, that we can basically like do the work that we want to be doing, which is having interesting conversations, questioning, you know, really developing our also, you know, the practice that we do outside the collective, because all of us are working. Some of us have full-time employment. Some of us are having, you know, are working on project basis, like, you know, juggling many things at the same time. So really kind of developing our practice through the collective without having to adhere to any kind of predefined structures is, I would say, a big advantage of self-organized activity. And also the fact that we can really decide for ourselves what are the rhythms of work, what kind of intensity work that we want to take, that we can also take care of each other. There's no sort of pressure to really like produce and be like oriented towards achievements and towards yeah, you know, towards the output, actually, that we can really concentrate on what we want to do, be completely free in that sense. This is what I really enjoy about our self-organized collective.
Yeah, I think if I can add, I think that freedom is an important word, because I mean, being independent and somehow being self-organized, it helps you to give you the time of working on a project, and it's also a way to express yourself in a way where you can really express yourself. I mean, I don't know if you, I mean, probably Darya told it better than I do, but this is really a super good point of being self-organized.
Mm-hmm. I think you raised many questions that are on the table right now, and that came even more in the surface also due to the 1 year and more of kind of global pandemic. And these are labor issues. These are reproduction rights, of course, and labor rights, and the idea of somehow having an opportunity to even challenge the neoliberal, let's say, structure of working, making money to spend in a particular order, with this kind of self-organizing, bypassing hegemonic power and constructions that somehow allow you in and out on several conditions. And I hope this will get us farther. And we're here to learn from you, you know, and how you're gonna manage, get us farther on with your ideas and your proposals, and the way you're gonna synthesize these different interviews that you're having with people that have been already in the profession. And, you know, I mean, from my experience also as one of the interviewees, and also one of the starting this, is like this kind of questionnaire, as you choose questions from your decalogue to send to the different people, put in somehow you help also the professional curator with all the stagnation that might, you know, the several years in the profession has to question themselves. So in that way, it's a service as well. I don't want to keep you longer, and I don't see in the chat any questions so far. But if, as we are online, if somebody want to or have a question, either put it in the chat, or I'm not sure if the platform allows to somehow open your camera and share with us your question. In, you know, this is now the point, the moment. In the meantime, I don't know if some other members or anyone that is here with us tonight want to add something before we're going to have to say goodbye to you, with the same sadness that you said that you had to overcome with your constant questioning collective. So anyone that wants to add something or have a question to CCQ?
I think someone raised their hand.
Okay, let me see. Can we allow someone that raised the hand? I'm not hosting this. Can we allow them in the platform with their camera and voice, or?
Yes, you can, yes, you can, Marina. Ugo asked the question.
Hi there.
Yeah, as I am with my mobile, I cannot do many things. So somebody can allow them, or who is the one that wants to ask the question? Please unmute and ask.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Hi, this is Ugo Piccioni. I wanted to ask, first I find very beautiful this initiative. Somehow it resonates in several ways. First, because first in time also, because 2 years ago, I was as well a student at the Summer Academy in Salzburg in the class of Nikolaus Schaffhausen. There were some similarities somehow, because like we organized the course about like asking first ourselves, which is the role of art, if the art can have a role in society, if it can even change society, if it should change reality or not, if this is the mission or not. And then like in our open day, we like asked the people coming, the public, let's say, those questions. So it resonates in this way. And secondly, it resonates because I'm like now in Venice, and I've seen this biennial of architecture, which is this year titled How Will We Live Together? So like this idea of togetherness is particularly like is important, is taking my time these days. So I would like to ask, first, congratulations for for the project, and would like to ask, since also I joined late this meeting and I might have been a bit distracted sometime by the beauty around. It's like, how do you in this project like live together like with the others, like as a collective you live together, like you the girls who take part to the collective, you for sure live together with the professional, let's say, you address your questions, I guess, from the art world, but this is also already a first question. They're all, or they will be all addressed to the people of the art world, so curator, artists, I don't know, or also to other, like, professionals of other fields, for example. And how, if it's the case, are you like, you wish somehow to change something with this project? Like, how do you wish to live together with all the surrounding world with this project? To change, to address, to change. Thank you.
And who would like to, of course, someone from the collective have to answer this, how you're, of course, I have to say, great that you shared with us. Thank you for the question. Great that you shared with us also the ideas on the Nicholas Schaffhausen course and the way this connects with what we are describing. Is also the way the Biennale you're right now connects with Alan Barth's, maybe Ronald Barth's text. And this is the way that one goes to each other. So, within each other's thought, and I'm very glad that there was some parallelisms. But who would like to answer this question that Hugo generally shared with us on A, how you tend to live together, B, if eventually your question will go beyond the professional curators to other constituencies of publics. Someone?
Okay. How we live together through the cameras, basically. Yeah, we meet. As we tried different formats at the beginning. We tried like every 2 weeks, but right now it's more like whenever we feel that we need to discuss something, we call a meeting and we make an agenda for that meeting, the things we need to discuss, and then we meet for like 2 hours sometimes. Yeah, so yeah, basically digitally, and some of us sometimes meet in real life too, if it's possible. And if you want to change anything, I think this collective is more about focus on ourselves, in the sense like we wanted to be in conversation with those guest curators. We wanted to be in conversation with people that are aligned to our ideas. So the guest curators, the people we invite, we look for people that we want to have a conversation with. You know, we know their works already from past experiences, and we come up with a really long list of those who wanted to hear. And so this is in a space that we create for ourselves to be in conversation with them and transform maybe first ourselves, you know, in our practice. And also to find, as Jara said before, in the self-organizing way, like find modes that we not necessarily need to be always working for someone, serving someone. That's one of our rhetorical questions, isn't it? Who are you going to serve? So how can we create our own spaces? Can we be independent from those structures that are already there? So these are questions we have ourselves, and that's why we're constantly questioning. So I think the first aim of this collective is to really transform our own practice, ideas, and like worldviews about our work. And then probably we will cause minimal changes, I hope, but we don't aim to heal, I think, yeah, to be superheroes.
Yeah, exactly. I also would like to say that because we are living and working in 8 different places, 8 different localities. So I would say that the way we live together is interlocally. And we, of course, inform our conversations and questioning practice by being, engaged in our own localities. So informing this practice through also the work that we do outside the collective. I think this is how we live together interlocally in our collective. I don't know if it makes sense, but that's how I feel it, that each one of us brings something that's from the place where we really live. And that's very important because we are from so many different countries, and not just localities, but also nationalities. But listening to each other, caring about each other's time, living together well, which means also not taking advantage of each other, of anyone. And that's it.
Thank you very much, Hugo. You're covered with the answer, I hope. We have to conclude also soon, so I wanted to go in the chat if I manage, because of my problematic here connection, and read one more question that we can somehow end with this. It's from Katalin Dam, and it says, thank you so much for sharing your collective. It's a wonderful project, and I love the idea of rhetorical questions or its openness, and wondering if that is why you choose this format. How you decided to do this together, and how do you think this facilitating self-organizing? I think we answer most of these parts, and thank you so much for the question, but if someone from the collective wants to add something here on the formation, on the format of the rhetorical question, which is basically a question that includes somehow a constant questioning and an answer in it, and also on the togetherness and the way that facilitates self-organization. Who will go with this as a sum up, as a kind of a conclusion? Because after this, I think we will have to good night, everyone.
Well, the things that we don't have a hierarchical structure helps a lot to be self-organized. I mean, it's the only way that this kind of togetherness is possible somehow. So I just think that, I mean, and the things of being a rhetorical question came up from the course, but it was so spontaneous to follow this kind of format and to think ourselves as something that it's that keep going changing somehow and all the time. So this kind of fluidity help us in this way of being self-organized, no?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if someone else wants to add something, but
someone else wants to add something?
Maybe not so much adding, but emphasizing that it's an ongoing process. The fluidity, it's like also an ongoing process of getting to know each other and still finding out how much structure do we need, and how do we develop those questions. They are a perfect starting point, I feel, because then you can still find the questions for each interview partner, but you always have the starting point, one of those rhetorical questions that you really want to get deeper into. So yeah, let's see where we end following this, but it's, as Irene said, an ongoing and ever-changing process, I guess.
We hope you're not gonna end since it's a never-changing process, and you're gonna offer us a new model of never-ending constant questioning and collectivity. So if you can, all members of, if you're already on camera, stay there so we can somehow virtually congratulate you for this. from the collective, and also everyone that made questions and helped for this discussion, and everyone that was with us participating and hearing this talk. Thank you so much, and have a great night from Summer Academy everywhere in the world at this moment for this conversation. Thank you very much.
And Sophia and Summer Academy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you also, Sophie Coates, that you're somewhere hiding behind your camera for helping us.
No, I'm not hiding. I'm coming. Here we go. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.